Camera would be so much better.
See, that's why I like the GoPro thing, even though I need to tilt it down. No, I don't, because my suitcase over there. But that's why I still like the regular camera is terrible for me. So then, like, I found this little software that makes me turn this into a webcam. I'm like, perfect.
That's nifty.
So I took out all the frustration of me not starting videos.
Does that have to be connected, or?
It does have to be connected. But that was, that's another thing I was going to test too, because that camera has Bluetooth and so does my computer. So I wonder if I can just connect it that way.
Do it all, man. Long time no talk.
Yeah, it's been what? 8 seconds? Yeah. Son of a King, what's going on, man? Thanks for stopping in. See, now I can test that thing for Jenna. I was right. I can add moderators from here. Wait till Jenna gets here. What's going on, y'all? We're just checking in, having trucker talk, really, about a couple of different things.
Bitching about things we don't want to bitch about on the internet.
Like we're not supposed to. But I know, well, this is really mainly for me because I know I haven't uploaded stuff in a while. See, I haven't been like looking at the camera because I always forget it's up there.
Yeah, but in his defense, when you're doing this on a laptop, you have to look down to see comments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that was my issue last time. Because like I had the camera like over here and I was like, hold on, guys. And I'm like looking way over here.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. Don't say that.
Well,
it makes you feel bad.
No, it looked a lot better when you're looking up at the camera and then looking down.
Yeah.
Because it looked like you're trying to look at comments.
Yeah.
When I do it on a laptop, it looks like I'm looking at myself all the time. Because I'm talking to the comments.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I do that.
Anyway.
Small stuff. YouTuber problems.
Trucking and plucking, man. I saw you a few minutes ago.
Keep looking at the screen instead of the camera on the phone. See, I was just talking to you and Jenna about that. I have the same problem with that freaking iPhone, man.
Although his last video, was it the last video?
Yeah, the cold, yeah.
He actually looked at the lens all the time.
I tried. Sunglasses. I'm gonna have to try and find a pair of sunglasses. My issue with me wearing sunglasses is I wear glasses, even though I barely wear them for YouTube. I wear glasses, so if I do get sunglasses, they have to be prescription sunglasses, so I can, see when I need to. So that's my only issue. Or, I mean, it's not like I'm walking. Well, I walked on my last video. Yeah. But it's not like I'm driving and recording videos, so I might just pick up some regular sunglasses, and that might help. Right on time. Hey, Jenna.
She's gonna be so happy.
I know. Like, yeah, I'm gonna send you this link, and then a week later, like, hey, did you look at that link? I'm so sorry.
So I was just right now we're at Oasis. I was just over at campus for a few minutes with Trucking and Plucking. He finally got out of quarantine. Came back with a clean test, COVID test, not drug test. Well, I would assume he came back with a clean drug test because he's still there.
Oh, like, what are you doing in here? He's still there. I don't know. That's another thing about like this whole COVID stuff, man. It's just like the people that Okay, so he did test clean. So glad that you're here.
All fronts.
That's just probably one nervous thing, especially, well, obviously not you, but with me being a trainer, and as you guys know, I've been here in Springfield all week. It's like I know some students they placed on quarantine, and some students they didn't. So it's like me coming in and teaching a class. I was like, okay, who got tested, who didn't get tested, and and I do understand that, or my understanding is, depending on where the student came from, you have to have a COVID test to even come here. I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, someone said on Driver One Up the other day that it's anywhere there's a hotspot, or if you take public transportation.
Right.
So if you take a flight or a bus, I've seen that question multiple times. If you drive, if you're from like some small town in Oklahoma or something, you drive, you probably won't have to go through all that quarantine stuff. But if you're
actually, that's what Cause I remember him leaving a comment on my channel. Trucking and Plucking drove from Florida and they made him quarantine for 24 hours.
Yeah, so which is weird because Florida doesn't even really have a huge COVID problem. But do they really?
Yeah. Orlando. Last I checked, Orlando was a hot spot. I believe Miami. I'm not entirely too sure.
So it's if you take public transportation, then it's a 5-day quarantine. So yours was shorter, Sean, I assume?
Yeah, he said last if I quote me right or comment, was it 24 hours or you had to sit for a day? Rick, what's going on? I know I've been missing on the content, so I apologize, but thanks for stopping in. I definitely appreciate it. But yeah, one day. Which for me, like coming from Atlanta, they're like, no, that's 14 days for you. It's 14 days. Because remember I told you coming inbound?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So if I didn't relocate to Savannah for my last 4 days of home time, they would have put me on quarantine for 14 days.
Good times. The world's different now.
So
I remember, not to hog your video, but
please.
Jen and I, when the COVID thing first started, like at the very beginning, it's hard to describe to those who aren't in reefer trucking because the whole world stopped except for us. Like reefer trucks for like 3 or 4 weeks was the only thing moving.
Yeah.
There were no 4-wheelers on the road. There was no flatbeds. It was just reefer trucks because TVs weren't moving. It was just food and medicine. But at the very beginning of it, I remember it was like I Am Legend.
Yeah.
It was so weird. Jen and I were up in Massachusetts when they first did the lockdown everywhere for 14 days. At the very beginning of it, driving through Massachusetts in the middle of the night, all the LED boards said stay home, dangerous, visit mass.gov.
Yeah.
And there's no vehicles. The
Yeah.
DOT basically just threw their hands up and said, do what you want.
Yeah.
There were no way stations were open, no DOT anywhere. Cops weren't pulling anybody over.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just reefer trucks. And it was weird, man. It was like some sort of Mad Max meets, I Am Legend situation.
But you know what? That was my favorite time to be a truck driver. It was the best thing ever for us.
Drive through Chicago at 2 in the afternoon and get through there in 30 minutes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was so fun.
But then time changed. We went through this phase where it felt like, because we're out on the road, it felt like we as truck drivers were viewed as lepers, because you started seeing all these, like at Blue Beacon, they put the plastic things up and the stuff on it. So it felt like everybody was afraid of truck drivers. But we realized real quick, everybody's going through the same thing at home too. It just felt like it was targeted towards us, So,
which is so weird because we live in quarantine for a living.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you might give us quarantine. Like if we get quarantine or if we get COVID, it's from interacting with y'all. So it's like, why are you ostracizing us? Yeah. So that's probably the one thing I didn't like about it for sure. It's like kept getting ostracized. I know I gotta catch up. Wait, which one? Rick, I am independent contractor. It does not matter. So independent contractor, company driver, if you come from a hotspot and you come through a terminal and you get flagged for quarantine, you have to quarantine. Doesn't matter what your status is. 14 days would have been extremely brutal. After I was, leaving from my hometown, I was already out driving, from 10 days from when I left Savannah, Georgia, which is not a hotspot. And so luckily, my Qualcomm showed my tracking in Savannah, Georgia, and not Atlanta, Georgia, or I would have been quarantined for an additional 14 days.
Oh, I thought Cuba was asking you about me. I was asking Sean about you.
Hell, I completely skipped over your comment. Are you gonna be here tomorrow? I think my understanding is you're coming here. It was here at Pittston. I want to say it was here. But are you going to be here tomorrow, or are you leaving to start your drive for however long that's going to be? And skip down, keep it trucking, Sean. But are you getting paid while in quarantine, or you only get paid once you're a pilot? That's not for me.
Yeah. I think he said, well, Sean already has his CDL. So, but he doesn't get hired until tomorrow. So he doesn't get hired until he actually starts. So in that quarantine period, he's not an actual prime employee. For students who don't have their CDL, you don't get hired until you have your CDL. So you're not an employee of Prime for your PSD.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they would still give you, well, I guess you wouldn't even start getting the loan until your orientation, the $200 or whatever.
I am a trainer. I don't represent the training department, so I don't want to get any legalities on that one. I have no idea.
I would think, and this is just a guesstimate, I would think that you don't get paid or even loaned any money during that quarantine phase.
I don't think so. I mean,
because you're not in the system, you don't have an actual card, you don't have anything for funds to be loaded to.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I could be wrong.
We don't work for a training department. We're just drivers. Don't pin anything on us. Don't get any knowledge from here outside of driving knowledge. So I'm not entirely too sure. You'll be in Springfield Thursday. What's Thursday's date? That's probably I need to get some more. I know.
You guys saw his hotel bill. You'd have a difficult time stomaching it.
Don't remind me. Silent, yeah, probably not 2 more days. Probably tomorrow.
Sleeping in truck, I guess.
Yeah, shoot, that's why my room looks clean. Ready to go. Let's see. John St. Clair, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you. I thought from tomorrow should get paid. Yes. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Sean. Yeah. You because you already have your CDL, you're not obligated for the 5,000 or anything like that. You jump right into B1, I think.
Oh, he goes straight to the TNT.
Yeah, straight to
so
TNT.
when was his last, or I guess when was your last, actually I'm not a recruiter, I don't even want to get into it. I was going to ask when his last trucking experience is, because I don't know if he jumped straight into TNT or if he jumped straight to his own truck.
Well, he went to a CDL school.
Oh, okay. So no experience.
Yeah.
Okay. So a C seat?
I think he goes straight into TNT.
If it's a C seat, that's PSD. No, that's D. Let's see.
Yeah, CDL school. He has to do 60K. Yeah, so he's got to do a full TNT. Is it 60K now for TNT?
It should be. I thought it was 50.
Wow.
Who has to do 60,000? Because I need to know. I need to know I don't know if I've been telling people wrong. If it's been up to 60,000 now.
No, Wayne said you're right. C driver.
You'll be a C driver, yeah.
CTNT, okay.
CC. Oh, okay. It's 60,000 because you didn't come through the PSD here at Prime. So that does make a lot more sense. Okay. So I think if you get your CDL through Prime's training program, it's still 50,000. So that's where I was getting. Yeah, that's where I was getting tripped up. Okay, I'm glad of that. I'm together.
So one thing, since we're on the subject of training, one thing I was talking to Ross about, or Johnson's Logic. Jen and I have had to train ourselves at home to call him Ross because we've been walking, because we're all friends and we walk around the house referring to our friend as a YouTube brand, which I still do. I would do it all.
Same.
But anyway, we're talking earlier. I saw a YouTuber, very small channel. I don't want to mention his channel, but he just got let go from Prime, which was really sad and devastating to see that happen because he was only like 5,000 miles away from finishing. So he was potentially only a week from being done. And it was because he hit something with a trailer twice in a week. And it wasn't just like backing, because Prime actually gives you a lot of
leeway.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of leeway.
I heard of a lot of students hitting fences and stuff like constantly, and they're not going to let you go for that. But he was making right turns and pretty nasty situations, and it's just I think it, if you guys are just coming to Prime or you're getting ready to come to Prime, I don't know if a lot of trainers give you something, just a very basic thought to always have in your head. But what my trainer told me when I first began, like my first day of TNT, because I had a different TNT trainer than I did PSD, is he said, if there's ever a time where you don't know where the ass end of your truck is, you stop. There's always know where your ass is. And now 2 years into it, that principle still stands. I know my truck is just the same to me driving as a car now. It feels that comfortable.
Yeah.
I get into my truck, start it up, release the brakes, and I go. And to me, it's no different than going on my Jeep, but I still will not go if I don't know where the ass end of that trailer is. And so for those of you going through training, man, this guy went through his whole TNT and only had 5,000 miles left. So had a perfectly safe record, thought he was comfortable with what he was doing, felt good and ready to upgrade. And then in his last 2 weeks, ran that trailer up against, I think it was a red traffic light pole. And then the second time ran over a yellow pole and tore the skirting off the truck or the trailer. So don't get comfortable or complacent. Even after TNT, don't ever think that, this is one of the things I don't want to name other companies, but there's other companies out there that are known for hitting fixed objects. And it's because they have that shorter training period and they're not trained to always know where the ass end of the trailer is at all times.
You definitely have to be aware, like not even of your surroundings and other vehicles, and obviously what you're doing on the road, but you have to be aware of exactly when and where to make that turn, because literally a millisecond of misjudgment could be the difference between someone getting home to their family and someone not. So, and I mean, I hate to, be that super morbid about it, but it's just that serious, driving commercial vehicles. Like, we are the professional drivers. So if you're, the government is basically giving you the responsibility of driving 80,000 pounds from coast to coast, you need to be able to know how to operate that 80,000 pounds safely, not just for you, but for everybody.
Yeah, Jenna says, remember when she almost kissed that Amazon trailer? Yeah,
Jenna.
She did. At a rest area, she was driving, she was pulling into a spot, and it was like 1/4 of an inch between the trailer and an Amazon trailer. And this is during her training. And she did the right thing. She stopped. She just did not, she didn't see a clearance. And even though it left the truck in a pretty bad situation, because you got to back out and correct it. It's a rest area. You can't, behind you, trucks can only go one way. But she stopped and avoided, hitting that trailer. So it's just stop. If you don't know where the ass end of that trailer is, stop. Because I would hate, especially some of you that are just getting started on YouTube, and don't go 45,000 miles and have us sitting here talking about that YouTuber that got booted.
Right. Not that we're making fun of him.
Yeah, not at all.
But it is a great talking point.
I talked to him today, and it was, it was just tough. He has his wife and kids at home. So he put in all that sacrifice, for 3 months of being away from them, and got the cut. So I think it's just always use the room you have as much as you can, especially on right and left turns. Use the room you have, and just always know where the ass end of your trailer is. When I first came to Prime, that was one of my biggest fears, was how in the heck do you turn a truck?
Yeah.
Right? That's the first thing I asked my trainer. He said, "Do you have any concerns? Is there anything you're worried about?" I'm like, "I don't know how the hell I'm going to turn this thing right at a red light or at a traffic light. Not at a red light. Sometimes you can.
Any intersection, really.
How do you turn right into a right lane?"
Yeah.
And now it's no big deal, but
depending on where you are.
Yeah. But most places you're going to take the truck, it's a manageable right turn. I say most because that's certainly not always the case.
We use that very loosely.
But I was definitely scared of right turns.
Yeah. I'm super behind in comments. I'm sorry. Todd, what's going on? What's going on? Thanks for stopping in. TC Gone Trucking, thanks for stopping in. I definitely appreciate y'all. Tractor Plucking, you're absolutely right. Get out and look. That is a super, super important concept. when I was training PSD and TNT, it was a concept that I taught before you even set foot in my truck. Make sure that you understand what get on look means. Make sure you understand what the word stop means. Make sure you understand that the difference between, like I was saying earlier, you and I making it home, you know, when I was talking to my student, the difference between you and I making it home as opposed to, you know, the car next to you or the truck next to us, like we're that difference. Whoever's in the driver's seat is the difference between a good night and a really bad night. So get out and look is a very important concept. Rick, I know you're already gone already, but good night. I definitely sorry I missed your comment. Trucker John, what's going on? Thanks for stopping in.
By the way, Trucker John, I sent you my actual cell phone number, not my business cell phone number. So I just saw your text today about January. So sorry about that. I
got the business number.
Got a new phone, so I'll hit you back on text and he wants to join us in January.
Okay. I was like, oh, you better not show do it on that phone.
All right. Well, Doodle, you better not be looking at your phone because you're driving. But the phone that you can't see right now is an iPhone Pro, Max Pro 12. And I actually got this because of him.
It's a good phone.
It is an amazing phone.
It's a good phone.
Actually, because I'm still on like a XS or something.
The 10S Max. Because we have
This is
10.
even older now, I think.
Is that?
Well, it might be the 10. I don't know. Anyway, it's terrible audio, terrible low light.
Yeah.
And
terrible
this
battery.
phone's amazing. So terrible battery, yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So yeah, so it was the same as my phone.
So
Oh, Genesis XR.
XR, yeah.
Did you get your present?
I did.
Oh, he hasn't lost it yet.
I lose knives so much, you guys. I lose. It's ridiculous. Like there's so many things that I will never lose. Never lose my keys. Never lose my wallet. Never lose my phone. But knives and flashlights, little flashlights. Jenna's just gotten to where she'll put like 2 little flashlights on both sides of the truck. So there's always a flashlight. But she got me a really nice knife today. Yeah, that was definitely a bonus.
My guess is he is absolutely going to lose that for sure. I'll give you a good amount of time though.
Yeah, connect a key to it. So
Put on your chain.
Then somehow I won't lose it. Jenna hates round. Yeah, she definitely hates roundabouts.
Roundabout. Well, you know what? I hated roundabouts at first until I finally figured out the science of it. So it's super hard for me to describe it. But for a roundabout, like every roundabout, I can avoid every like little hill thing, which is not really a curve. But if you literally take the truck from line to line, respectively, depending on which direction you're going, you generally avoid that line or you avoid that curve. Like when you first enter a roundabout, how it goes to the right. If you go straight until you get to the line and then ride that lane around until the curve starts, the left curve, and then switch to the other lane or the other line, your trailer will never have issues. And like once I figured that out, and I've tested this theory in my Freightliner, and since I've gotten the Volvo, I've tested it, and I've never had a problem with roundabout since then. But it's super hard to like diagram out. You know what I mean? Like when I'm teaching it to my student, I'm like, all right, just do this exactly what I just told you. And he's like,
it definitely doesn't seem like it should work, but
it's just one of those things.
He's right. A truck will navigate a roundabout pretty well once you kind of get those angles. It took Jenna a while. I didn't even see she ate 2. She didn't eat a lot of curbs, but she probably 1 or 2.
Eat a lot of curbs.
And then there's the ones that are almost designed like you're supposed to go up on the curb a little bit, you know, where they have the slanted and then the pavement.
But I still don't like that one.
I don't like
it freaks me out when my tires, I'm like, oh no. Chucking and plucking. See, but you know what? And I kind of feel bad for telling you that you're going to lose your knife because I've recently lost mine. So I'm like, now I don't have a knife, so I need to go and get one myself. But it's probably good that you carry, you know, less expensive knives. Mine was super expensive, and I haven't built up the courage to replace it yet. So there's that. Cuba Truck and Logic, maybe I'm late asking, but what is the latest with the Volvo? So the latest with the Volvo. tomorrow I actually have an announcement to make about the Volvo. So I will be uploading a video tomorrow. So just, stay tuned. I have an update video tomorrow that's coming out. Just that's all I'm gonna really say about it. Just stay tuned. Don't laugh. Whew, that's a lot. Sorry. Don't look at me squint. What's up, guys? New subscriber, Johnson's Logic. Thank you very much. Question is, Prime still hiring even with COVID-19 on the rise? Also, how did Jenna's doctor appointment go? I will take the first part if you want to take the second part. So Prime is still hiring with COVID-19. Of course, we are following all COVID-19 guidelines. If you need to know what those guidelines are, especially if you're coming from a different state, please contact a Prime recruiter. I'm not going to hold myself liable for those answers. However, to generally answer your question, yes, we are still hiring through COVID-19.
Yeah, and Jenna's her appointment yesterday was anticlimactic. She has to go back in for more tests in January, but she's not an imminent threat of losing her career, so that's good news. But yeah, we really
don't know anything else.
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer. So we drove 3.5 hours up to St. Louis, stayed in a hotel for the night, and then went to the hospital the next day for the appointment. And the appointment was like an hour and a half to be scheduled for more tests. So they did take blood, and she looks like a heroin addict today. She's got this, because she's mainlining. Last night you couldn't see it at all, but today she's got a pretty nasty bruise right there, which makes me want to pass out just thinking about it.
That explains why she wore the hoodie today.
Yeah, sleeves. I can go under a needle for tattoos for hours on end, but you stick something in my vein and I'm out. I can't
do needles at all, so I don't know what you're talking about. I can't.
But it was interesting on the getting back on the student side. Of course, I almost gave away something. He doesn't want to give away until tomorrow. But over at Campus Inn, seeing the students come in tonight, with bags and stuff, it's very, and 2 years ago. And you guys, you're complaining about quarantine and stuff, but man, you guys and gals have it still so much better than we did. They renovated those rooms over there. They're not like when I went in, I had a roommate. And our bathroom didn't have a fan.
Yeah.
So,
it was literally prison when we went over there the first year.
Man, the carpet smelled like mold and wet, and there were over 100 students in my class. So
did we come in at the same time? No, we came in like a week or two apart. Yeah. Something like that. I remember us talking about that.
You have a pretty big class.
Yeah, our class was 100, and our original size was 126.
So you had 3 groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, back then you didn't do your permit or anything first. You came here to Springfield, and you went to the DMV in Springfield. Took in groups of 3. Took shuttles to the DMV. Took your test. If you failed, you went back the next day, and then you were in a group that got drug tested. Then you were in a group, this long chain of people going through a physical exam. It was horrible. So back then, that week was absolute chaos and stress, and you just wanted to end. You had to, when you could get sleep and rest, you were in a room with somebody else and
doing their own thing, whatever that is.
Yeah. So, quarantine sucks, but in all honesty, it's so much better.
So much better.
It is.
You guys got your own rooms, like your own space. Yeah, it sucks. You gotta, sit in a room for a day to 5 days, but at least the entire time you're here on PhD, you get your own. It's really just your own room thing for me. That and the long lines.
The lines.
Everything. Lunch was always supposed to be 30 minutes, always 6, because there's so many people.
You don't have to. So you basically only have a couple of days, and then you're over on the pad. It's just like that now. Then you could fail your permit test. Now, I was fortunate; I passed my permit test the first try. But you could fail it all week and be sent home if you couldn't pass the permit test. So now you have all that out of the way. So much more stress-free now.
I would love to say I passed my permit test in the first try. I got literally a perfect score on everything but combinations at this point.
At least then you only had to go back and take that one.
Just the one, yeah.
Part.
So that's what kind of helped me. But it sucks. I'm like, gotta pass. It'll send me home. But no, that physical was terrible. That line, because the line started from the doctor's office, wrapped all the way past the sim lab, past the doctor's office.
Hours of musical chairs.
Oh God!
The line, you just kept shifting over to the next chair, and the next chair for hours.
Lined up both hallways. My God. Let's see. I've never been in the Army, but if I call my brother, I'm sure he'll say the same thing. Dustin Anderson, thank you for answering my questions. Glad Jen is doing well. We are too. Thoughts and prayers still coming y'all's way. Hopefully we'll be in training next week, waiting to hear from my recruiter. Definitely good luck to you. We cannot wait to see you out here. I am certain I'll be around soon. I don't know what you guys' plans are.
We're going to be here until at least the 7th, probably the 8th. So we're taking a long stretch. We don't want to go back to the terminal and get tested, which today's the 1st. So if you go to the terminal the day after tomorrow, you're going to get COVID tested.
That is the 3rd.
3rd, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to think about that too.
The 3rd, huh?
So, we might call on like the 5th or 6th and see if we can go get a brand new trailer in Indiana, which we've done 4 or 5 times this year.
Give away the secrets.
Yeah. But I've seen a lot of people are picking up those trailers still. So if we can do that, we'll do that. But if not, we're going to wait until the 8th.
Is it just the 3rd? Or is it through the 7th?
Yeah.
All 5 of those days? I'm going to get out of here.
Yep.
Oh, there's.
You got to go in the terminal tomorrow. Otherwise, our short-term lease available at Prime, where you might take up the remainder of the lease on a truck, maybe a year.
Where are you reading?
Johnson.
Oh, I'm behind. I'm sorry, John. I missed your comment. So our short-term lease is available at Prime, where you might take up the remainder of the lease on a truck, maybe a year old. Yes, sometimes. So there are short leases here at Prime, and that's generally if a current lease operator decides to end his current lease voluntarily or non-voluntarily. But generally, there are short leases available. As far as where to find them, you have to get with Success Leasing on that. It's not something I knew off the top of my head. So, but yes, to answer your question, there are short leases available if they are available. Right now, they're not, because I don't know if you saw, but we just got a shipment of like 40 brand new Freightliners.
Really?
Yeah. That's why there's so many bobtails on the yard right now. So,
see, that's another thing that's different now, guys. When I went through orientation, there were people waiting here to upgrade for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
In a hotel, waiting for a truck. Mm-hmm. And they stopped when I was in training. They stopped letting you come back and just wait here to upgrade. They changed it so that you had to stay on the truck until there was a truck available for you.
I do remember that too.
So when I was in orientation with people who had finished their TNT and had been sitting at the hotel for a month, waiting for a truck.
That was my first roommate.
He's already done.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they're getting batches of like 40 trucks, that's amazing.
For who? There's nowhere to park. Just saw Lyle's video where he said he didn't trifecta. I missed that video. Yeah,
reassuring.
I missed that video. Someone's commented COVID. Let's see.
That's your name?
That's someone's name on YouTube is COVID.
All right, Mr. COVID.
Don't come to us. Look, don't bring it over here. Leave us alone, Springfield, Missouri. Great, thanks. Yeah, I wouldn't be thinking about that until the spring. Yeah, you have plenty of time for those short leases. Like I said, it's all about availability. Once you're eligible, Success Leasing will tell you exactly if one's available or not.
I don't think you can get a Volvo, Dustin.
No.
Like you're not likely to get a Volvo.
It's gotta be me. No, I'm just kidding. So Prime has a Volvo testing program. There's only 25 Prime Volvos. We have a total of 27. 2 of them are owner operators. We have a total of 25 tester Volvos. Now, outside of that, that's really all I can really say about the program because there's no final word. Whether, to my understanding, there's no final word. If there is somewhere, I'm sorry. But to my understanding, there's no final word whether we're going to continue or not continue. But, which do we prefer?
That's true. Well, he's always a Volvo guy. He hates Peterbilt.
Certified.
I won't drive anything but Peterbilt. Love
I
it.
really wish you drive the truck once. You love it, man. I'm telling you.
Peterbilt has class.
We don't have class.
Volvo does have class.
So I have a dual answer. Obviously, I love my Volvo. But on the other hand, I'm gonna have to say I prefer Freightliner. And this is the reason why. It's only one reason, because it's definitely not the ride, but just the availability of parts and minimizing your downtime. I would definitely go with Freightliner, especially as a lease operator or owner operator. I would definitely go, if you had to pick.
And especially a new lease operator. I was talking to Sean about this. The Freightliner is a great truck. It's designed to be economically viable and to just be a basic, good work truck, with good availability. Like you can go to TA for warranty work, Prime for warranty work. That's the stickler with Volvo and Peterbilt. It's not that these trucks break down more than Freightliners. It's just you can't go get them worked on anywhere.
Yeah.
Freightliner is a great truck, especially solo.
Yes.
But I think as you get, and because of the fuel mileage, because I know his truck doesn't get great either. Mine, I can't even look at the screen while I'm driving because it just stresses me out. And part of that's because
you do well on fuel.
No, I don't.
Stresses Jenna out.
But having gone from a Freightliner where you can in your sleep do 10 miles per gallon to a Peterbilt, which I'm getting like 8.6, on a good day. I think that kind of messed with me a little bit. If I had gone Peterbilt first, then that's just what I would know. So if you're new to lease, starting on a Freightliner where you're going to get really good fuel mileage, you're going to save some money. It's going to help you put more in the bank to kind of get on top of your game. And you're solo, so you don't really need a smooth ride while you're driving because you're going to sleep when you're parked. Yep. I was really grateful that I got a nice Freightliner out of the gate, and it served its purpose, and it made me good money. It got me in the position I'm in now. I think eventually you'll probably want to try something a little more comfortable, and both Volvo and Peterbilt, in terms of their cab, comfort, and everything, are much better truck.
Light years ahead, yeah. And just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, I came from a 2020 Freightliner where I was doing, on average 9.7 to about 10.2, sometimes 11 miles to the gallon on a week, fully loaded with a student. So I'm glad that I did that first and then kind of switched to the Volvo, but it also prepared me that every truck's not going to get 10 miles a gallon. Like my Volvo right now, which is one of the things that's getting repaired because that's apparently not average, but I'm averaging right now anywhere between 8.2 to about 8.6 miles to the gallon, which in just the 1 month I've really been driving it, I've, because I keep track of all my expenses and my fuel, and my fuel cost has increased in uncomfortable amounts. So, so that's probably one thing I don't like about the Volvo would be the parts availability and just the fuel. But apparently I had something going on with the fuel thing. So I'm hoping they get that fixed, but
that's just a reason why I think you need to have a little lease experience before you get into a truck that's going to cost you maybe a little bit more to run. Because the Freightliner, it does allow you to build that cushion and learn the business, I think jumping straight to lease is not as scary as it seems sometimes. But I think that if you're going to do that, you should take steps to make it as painless and painless and profitable as possible until you learn it. Because there's absolutely a lot to learn about running a business while you're also learning to become a
How to be a
professional
truck driver.
driver without someone in the other seat helping you. You know,
In which I tell y'all on some of my past videos, go company first. I say that every time. I went company for 10 months first. Yes, 10 months is probably a little bit too long, especially, you know, for me. But I tell all my students, anybody, any class I talk to, any driver, all you guys that I've met here in Springfield, you know, this time I was here in Springfield, last time I was here in Springfield, all this year, every one of you guys that I've met, I've told you guys, go through the training, go through the TNT. It might suck, but go company at least 5 to 6 months. Just go company, and that's really, it's not to understand how to drive the truck. It's to understand the industry. Like, you get a lot of experience from your TNT trainer, but at the end of the day, your only goal is to learn how to drive that truck and not hit anything. Drive 50 to 60,000 safe miles. Like, that's your focus. But when you get on your own, you weren't paying attention to the stuff that, we as trainers already know, or us as experienced drivers. Like, we know the industry. Like, we know that I should probably be in this state on this day because this freight is going to go here for this amount of money. A lot of people don't think like that, but you as a student are not going to understand that until you get on your own and actually learn where stuff goes. So that's why I tell all my students, every student I ever talk to, PSD, TNT, you guys who comment on my videos, some of you guys Instagram me or my DMs on my Instagram, just I won't say do, I suggest to do company at least, 5, 6 months, really get an understanding, especially if, you're coming out of training, like currently now, like during winter. Now would be a fantastic time to be a company driver instead of a brand new lease operator. But that's just my opinion. It's personal opinion. Don't shoot me.
And trucking and plucking, you were asking about the savings on the 1.52 miles per gallon. I don't have that exact figure, but another reason why you might consider starting with a Freightliner and leasing,
I definitely have that figure,
is if you leased a Freightliner and drove a Freightliner for a year, that year or however long that period of time, that's when you're going to start learning how to run more profitable, higher revenue per mile trips.
Yeah.
So that's, and I know that means that you still could be making more money if you stayed in a Freightliner and learned and started utilizing, that knowledge. But I think the knowledge that I have now has, in a lot of ways, offset what I've lost by going from Freightliner to Peterbilt. If that makes sense. That doesn't mean I'm leaving money on the table, but we live in a truck, So once I learn the business, which you still learn every day, I'll learn if I'm driving a truck 10 years from now.
I hope I'm still learning.
Yeah. So, but I think that now I run my truck much more profitably in terms of the freight lanes and places, the types of loads that I take, that I actually make more money now than I did running a more profitable starter truck.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, but you're right though, because what you know now is a lot different because you understand the industry and you actually know where to go.
Yeah.
Despite I'm going to talk about you every time, despite the fuel savings that you're missing out on. But again, that's the other side is, he does really well on, for example, you do really well on freight selection and places to be, and I do really well on fuel, but if you think about it and put those two together, like if you take the knowledge that you get from me and the knowledge you get from him, you put those two together, you have a successful business, especially if you can do both, because you're saving money on fuel, but you're also making all the money because you know where to be. But again, at least for me, my opinion, I learned that stuff when I was a company driver. I know I'm super far off comments, so I got to back
Still
up.
doable to be leased right out of the company. Well, I mean, he's making a lot of good points.
I still say yes.
I did go straight lease, but here's the thing. I actually have run my own business for a decade. I don't know that I would really, I'm not going to say that I recommend you go lease. That's not, I wouldn't advise that. what I'll say is that, well, first of all, I had other reasons to do it. I had Jenna and my dog, and we wanted a brand new truck. That was a big thing for us. And at the time, you didn't really get that option if you were a company driver.
You still don't.
Yeah. So, and it was like a crazy deposit for a dog. Jenna has worked with me in my business. We've run businesses before together. So I had her on the truck too, and she ran all of our paperwork. She ran all of our finances and our accounting. So I had some advantages, I think, that helped me be able to make that leap. But it was really stressful for a month or two because we had no money. We had no money saved. And we were very fortunate that we didn't get into a costly breakdown situation or something that would put us in a hole because we had no money saved. Whereas now, 2 years into it, we're not in a situation where it would be financially devastating for us to be, stuck in a hotel for 2 weeks, which financially sucks, no matter how you slice it. But I don't think he's going to bankrupt him, and he's got a plan to get back on top of that. But I wouldn't advise to do it, but at the same time, your question is it doable? Yes, it is doable. I did it, and I did it successfully, and I love it. I wouldn't drive my truck any other way. Doable is a lot different than advisable.
Yes, very, very different. It's funny you just said that. It's literally what I was about to say. To briefly answer your question, yes, it is doable. But like we both said, personally, I don't recommend it, and didn't tell you either.
Yeah,
I wouldn't recommend it, especially I'm not gonna get into it. No, it's doable. JJ Hammer down 3 years. Company generally doesn't keep trucks more than 3 years. Depending on circumstance, I think it's just 3 years though.
Did they keep trucks in rotation? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think if you're a company driver, you get a new truck every 3 years, I believe. Mm-hmm. My trainer was company. My PSD trainer was company, and he had a new truck coming to him after 3 years, right at 3 years. If you're leasing or buying a truck, when your lease is done, they're going to put that truck right over a pedigree and put it up for sale.
Yep.
So really, the only way you're going to have a truck older than that is if you're buying a truck or bringing a truck that qualifies. So you will see some older trucks rolling around here, but those are trucks that
are paid for,
and they've been with Prime probably most of it, for the life of that truck.
There's a question I want. So Jeffro, I want to address your comment about doing 1099. So the issue with being 1099 is not that you're switching from 1099 to W-2, or that, if you're getting paid 1099, you're going to be good. The issue is you can be paid 1099, but if you don't know how to make money with that 1099, it's not going to really do you any good, because it's not really, for us lease operators, the money is in the freight that we pick up. And if we're not in the right place at the right time, your 1099s are going to be zero, just to balance out.
I'll give you a perfect example. And fortunately, this happened like 2 months into my lease. So I had some money saved up by then. But this could have happened in the first month. The first thing, and I've done videos on this, the first thing is I unknowingly dragged a tire when I left the house because there was ice on the road, and I couldn't tell that my right rear drive tire was still locked. The brake was still locked on it. On this side, on your driver's side, you can see that back tire. I don't know how it is on the Volvo, but I can't see the back tire, drive tire spinning in my passenger mirror.
Yeah, we can't see them either.
Well, that tire was still locked. Mm-hmm. So, and there was ice on the road, so I couldn't really tell that it was dragging until I got on the interstate and burned a foot-long hole across the tire. That was just after 2 months of having a brand new 2020 Freightliner. Then a week later, my carabiner that hooks the airlines to the back of my tractor broke, and my lines dragged on the interstate at 65 miles per hour, killing air and electric to my trailer. Because I was in the middle of nowhere, it cost me $750 to have new airlines brought to me because I didn't have extra set on the truck at the time. I was new.
Thanks for reminding me. I have to go buy new airlines tomorrow.
So imagine if that happened 2 weeks in, because those are not things that have to do with the age of the truck. Those are things that have to do with it's trucking, and you're learning. Imagine 2 weeks in, you have zero money in your tire fund, and you have zero money in emergency fund. You have zero money saved, and that's $2,000 right there between those two situations. And that can happen at any time, no warning whatsoever. Something like that can happen, and do you want that to be your first experience after upgrading, to be smacked in the head with $2,000 that you don't have in your pocket? And if you're a solo driver, a $2,000 hole is a lot more hard to get out of.
It's a lot to cover.
So, just one example of how stuff can go south really quick if you're not prepared for it.
Then I had one job to remind me to go to AT&T.
Oh, yes.
He just reminded me just now. I know. I was like, you're supposed to come get me. Was trucking and plugging. Going straight leases. I've literally never worked for anyone since I was 20, and I had to run the business, have emergency fund too.
Yeah, but your situation is unique.
That's just like, I don't.
Yeah, your situation is very unique. I know your situation, and I know your background, and I know some of your
inner workings.
Personal, your situation. Again, it's very unique, and is it doable in some cases? Yes, and it can be very successful. But if it's someone with no experience, no financial safety net, it can be very high risk, and it can give you a very bad entrance into this career.
We're not saying that it can't be done. We're saying that it'll probably be extremely difficult. And something that I've seen over and over again, I know you have too, is if someone will go straight out of TNT, will go straight lease and fail and blame Prime.
Oh yeah. In fact, not most, but a lot of the people on YouTube or in the forums that you guys see out there calling it success fleecing, and there are people who that's exactly what happens.
The biggest scam, and they're paying too much for truck payment. I don't make no money. We see it all day long, especially with us being YouTubers. Like, that's our job, is to one drive, but we're on YouTube as well, like just watching just like you guys, and I see it all the time.
That give you another example. What if you have the worst luck in the world and you hit 3 deer in a week? As a company driver, what does that cost you?
Absolutely nothing.
As a lease driver, you're gonna get $500 a pop every time, and it's not we'll take that in 2 weeks.
That's on the next payroll
right now. So there's just just be careful.
We're not advising you guys to not do it. We're just, like you just said, just be cautious. Just be aware of what you're getting into, and know that being a lease operator, or it's literally called lease operator / owner operator, because on our statements, we are owner operators. Like, you are responsible for your paycheck. You are responsible for everything on that truck.
So maybe go company and save money. Well, that's what he did.
That's what I did. I saved money to go lease. Like, I didn't become a trainer until I was ready to go lease. And that was after 10 months of me being company, then decided to get switch to training and stayed a company driver for my first student's PSD phase, had her trifecta, and then I switched to lease. So, but again, I switched to lease because I saved up all year. I don't have a lot of bills, but I saved up all year because I didn't have anything to spend my money on. It's rare that I go home. It certainly doesn't feel like it this year. But yeah, I did exactly that. I saved up before I switched to lease. That way, if like I said, with lease, anything can happen. Like, so I was fortunate enough to have, like, when I upgraded, my first truck was a 2017 Freightliner. And I was in that truck 3 months because I got a brand new 2020 truck, July 4th, 2020, in Salt Lake City, Utah. So from July until the end of December, I ran that truck as a company truck, brand new. So when I switched over to lease, I just took that truck with me. I broke that truck in. I knew how it ran. I knew I took care of it. I knew it was going to save me money. So, prime example. So I switched that truck over. I knew that truck inside and outside. I knew exactly how much oil I had in there. I knew everything about that truck. Switched that truck over to lease. Hopped on the truck with my TNT suit now. Got on to 44 eastbound. About to take my student home. 60 miles from here, my truck breaks down. Anything can happen as lease. And guess who had to pay? Literally that day. I literally signed the lease as I was rolling out outbounds, and 60 miles from the terminal, my truck breaks down. So anything can happen as lease.
That's Prime lock. You have a commitment as company driver. No, just the 1 year.
I mean, just the 1 year commitment for like, and that's if you, well, you have to get CDL. If you get your CDL through our training program, you just have the 1 year commitment. But that's not locked to company drivers. That's lease drivers as well. So in any way you look at it, it's a 1 year commitment if you get your CDL through Prime. I'm super behind on the comments. Did you see the thing? The split fuel tank.
Oh yeah. We actually have video of this, but won't share it because it was just horrible for this driver. And I think he knows we're on YouTube, but we were at Love's north of Atlanta, which is a horrible Love's.
Oh.
Tiny little, like, it's the first Love's when you leave Atlanta going north. So, of course, you know, being the cheapest fuel, you can imagine what traffic is like in this little tiny Love's.
Oh my God.
We pulled into this Love's, and there's a Prime truck that had basically locked up the entire Love's parking lot. And everybody's outside their trucks looking. There's fire trucks, there's hazmat crews, there's cops, there's all the staff out from Love's out there. He had overshot the Love's entrance and the railroad tracks, which ripped the bottom of the reefer tank. And then he turns around, comes back to Love's, and his reefer tank's just, you know, flushing out on this Love's parking lot.
Oh no! Oh, that's hazmat.
And he has, yeah, it's hazmat, and he's got a fully loaded trailer that requires the reefer. So you can imagine, and I think Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong, but he had just started his lease, so he's on the phone with wife and everything. You know, he thinks his life is over, and it's just like he's going to lose this load. There's going to be a claim on him, and which I think there was all that. He didn't end up losing his job with Prime, but an extremely costly situation. Now that one was a little bit more on him. I mean, sorry, bro, you missed the turn and you went over tracks. Yeah. You know, that's
definitely driver error.
It's driver error, but it's just another example of now if you're a company driver, you know, Prime is responsible for more of that than the driver on a lease truck. So there's just a lot of examples of how stuff can really go south. If you're at an hour, I'm probably going to have to.
Shoot.
Well, I got to get dinner to Jenna soon.
So I'm going to answer this last question because I think it is a very important question. Jefferson says, "Call dibs on your truck."
Well, now that it's got a working headlight.
But Dustin Anderson, you asked a very good question, so I'll answer this question and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. But the question is, what's running company like? I used to drive for Snyder and it was horrible. So as a company driver at Prime, when I was a company driver, I loved it. I thought I was going to be a company driver forever. Like
full 3,000 miles a week
every single week. Again, that's. But you have to think about it from my perspective. The only thing I have to pay for is to keep myself alive. That's it.
Yeah.
So 3,000 miles a week, I was getting paid by the mile. So again, don't think that you're going to come be a company driver and run 3,000 miles a week. That's not what I'm saying. I had a fantastic dispatcher, and he knew, like, we had expectations talk. He knew I didn't like to go home, and he knew I liked to keep running, and that's what he had me do. But literally, like, when I say pay to keep myself alive, I literally just had to pay to shower and eat. That's it. So I run freight, run my hours, run recaps. If you successfully run your recaps, you can run as many miles as the freight dictates. But my overall experience as a company driver was completely amazing. I think there was only one instance where something happened that was out of our control, out of Prime's control that I hated. But again, it's out of Prime's control, so I can't really attribute that to my experience as a company driver. But I made, and quickly answer that question, yes, you can make great money as a company driver as long as you keep your expenses low. But that's the same thing for being a lease operator. If you keep your expenses low, anyone can make great money. And with that, because we need to get food to Jenna, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. We thank you guys for stopping in. If you haven't read the title or the description, this is Driver's Lineup. I have his channel. How do you say that? I have his link to his channel in the description below. Like, comment, and subscribe on his channel.
Yeah, and he does have some pretty epic announcements coming up. I've been itching this whole time to bust out some of what he's going to. So definitely tune into his channel next couple days. He's got some good stuff coming up, and plus, I think we're all going to want to see him get his truck back, hopefully soon, and get on the road and get back to making that money. So definitely subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Do the outro.
As always, be safe, make good decisions, and of course, drive to thrive.
And thank y'all for me too as well. And as y'all know, if you already got to be thinking about it, you might as well do it logically. Take care.
Night, guys.